Hi everybody, my name is Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio. I'm going to do a little card for you today, and the card itself is super simple, but what I really like about it and what I have found that I really love about this particular January to June mini catalog that just started is how so many of the products just tie together. And I kind of found it out a couple of different ways. One, as I was doing the Try It class, sometimes because I didn't have the catalog right in front of me, as I would sit to do a project, sometimes a catalog, it's very obvious what elements of a suite go together. But I was like, oh, this looks like it could go with this, but maybe it goes with this. And then I'd open the catalog up and it didn't even go with the things that I thought it did. And then as you start stamping, things intermingle. And then if you watched the video that I did with this card, which is where I'm going to use as my jumping off point. In the video, I had not yet decided what my online class was going to be for January. And I was considering this, which had not been my consideration back in December before I started stamping with stuff. But as I kind of looked at the paper and played with this stamp set, I thought, oh, this might be it. But then I mixed that same paper with this stamp set, which doesn't go with that suite. And then I thought, oh, maybe I'm going to change to that. So what ended up happening is, if you go to my website, you can see my online class. You can either pick both and do all 8 projects, or you can pick one and do 4 projects, but you'll get to see the videos for both because they mix together so well. But as you look through the catalog, so here is the horizons, and that's where the paper comes from. So both stamp sets in that particular class will use this paper because this paper is the bomb. It is so fabulous. It's just a really, really fun paper. So here's the stamp set, and that's called On the Horizon, and then the paper's called Horizons over here, and then here's the dies. So that's why I'm going to do this card, because when I did this card, a bunch of y'all thought these little fishing cabins were tombstones. And I thought at the time they were kind of like fishing, because I'm from the Midwest of the United States. So I thought in my Midwestern mind, they were like little, my brother-in-law built a little cabin on the side of their little pond lake at their house. So that's what I see. I also saw, because my husband is from Melbourne, Australia, and we have lived there, and that's where I met him. So they look like the bathing boxes if you live in Melbourne, or if you live in any place where they have little bathing boxes, they really look like that, because those come in a row right on the beach, all close together. But they could be tombstones. You could look across the lake somewhere and there could be an old cemetery, right? So that's where the card's going today. So you have this stamp set. But then if you kind of look through here, so here's the Grassy Grove, and that's what also, and you can see the Stampin' Up! People, designers, they put that paper with this stamp set because it goes really well together. But then, I don't know which way I need to flip. I think the other way. I should have looked. Yeah. So right here, here's, and I did this ocean card, right? So I did this card. It could go with the paper because that paper has sides that aren't horizons. They're more just colors. But then over here, you have this stamp set, and it is called Oceanfront. And I know a lot of you are like, I don't ever see me doing anything with a bunch of splotches. This is the one we're going to use today, and we are going to take this stamp set and use it just with the dies because it all mixes and matches so nicely. And I'm going to change the tombstones into the bathing boxes. So that's how we're going to go for today's card. But I also used, because I realized it's day, if y'all, I'm going to talk Fahrenheit, so it's way low Celsius. But this morning it was like 4 Fahrenheit, which, 32 Fahrenheit is freezing. So we're way below the freezing. I'm ready for summer. Once Christmas is gone, I'm done with winter. But this is the waves. So the waves could go with the sea life that I used the other day. You could put the fence and stuff with the waves. Again, mix and match. I just got this. It came with the Try It class stuff, because when I did the waves and I was going to not use this as a free celebration set, in my mind, the card was made with the sailboat punch, and I realized I had never ordered it. So that didn't happen. So the card I'm going to do today, I'm going to show you at the end. If you punch the sailboat, it could go right over the top because it all mixes and matches. It's fabulous. So you can kind of piece it together piece by piece, and then just continue to use it. So if you don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about the little bathing boxes, I pulled out partly for the color concept, because you can do this too. So if you've been, like we've all been on vacation, right? And you take the lovely over the ocean, over the lake, over the pond, over the river, all of those fabulous sunset, sunrise pictures, because your sky doesn't always have to be blue when you stamp. It can be the fabulous oranges, the yellows, the purples, the lilacs, the pale papayas, the colors that you see in the pictures. And the last time we went to Australia, 2017, maybe 2018, we were supposed to have gone back, but COVID. So the last time we went, the iPhone cameras, it was right before the iPhone got better. So I was still using a 35 millimeter, really good camera, because I had just upgraded, because cameras were a good thing. So all my pictures are in print. I didn't even take very many videos, because you remember the days when you didn't have a video on your phone? That was these days. It was the next year that I got, and the next year we went to Italy, so I did get good pictures on my phone with that. But these are the little boxes. So here's the little die. See, those can be the little boxes. But when I pulled these out, I did stamp a bunch, because look, here's some like balmy blue. Here's some like blushing bride. You have some sunset over here. We were here in the evening on this particular day. But look how fun these boxes are. Whenever we go, this is the one we try to sit by, because whoever painted this one, they make it. And then the one right next to it has the emu on it. So it's just a very iconic look. But now, as you see, here's the On the Horizon. And I'm going to use the birds and the words out of that, because mix and match. But now, as you see the splotches, you can see how you piece these pieces together. And they can be clouds, they can be sand, they can be sky, they can be just parts of pieces. See how this parts of a piece can help you make a beach. So there's my husband and my daughter walking along. And you can see Melbourne right here. So this is real close to the city. Here they are by the iconic one. Whoops. And it doesn't take long if you're someplace at sunset for the colors to change. But here, there's hardly even any blue in this. So don't think when you get this, it all has to be blue. Just pull out pictures that you've taken. And again, here, as the shadows hit the boxes, they kind of change colors. And here is just straight onto the ocean. And again, it goes more here gray, and maybe some Cajun craze, and some daffodil. And again, you could do this, and these could almost all be in black, and have some of these be the rocks onto this. So see how you can build your scenes. So if you're stuck, get some old pictures out, just pull up some things on the website. You can tell I pulled these out of my scrapbook because they've been cut down. So here's where I went. So this is kind of how I did my card. So I did do several, here's what I did. I did several backgrounds, and I used the different colors of the sky, but then my houses kind of got lost. So I decided for this particular card, and we will come back to it, and I will use the Oceanfront stamp in other ways. But for this one, I wanted to really let these shine to show that they're not tombstones, but they could be. So if we still have this stamp set in October, you can pull it back out and you can make it be tombstones. So let's do all I'm using is white cardstock, because you don't need anything else for this. So here's our card base. And then here is, I'm gonna just do white on white. And this, when I did this folder, this is our bark folder. And a lot of people, I have had so many people be like, where'd you get the water folder? Where'd you get the water folder? On my card that I did with the ocean, Seize the Day. So I'm just going to we'll roll this through in just a minute, but that's going to be a white background. And then here's just a little piece of white. And this is where we're going to stamp our seascape. So for it, I'm just going to do a nice sunny day in Melbourne. So I'm going to, guess what color I went for the sand? It was really easy to decide. I just went with Sahara sand. And when you're going to do just a basic background, just have your lines meet. So this is stamping this background 101. I'm going to use my pad to stamp under, just our pressure pad, because I found it gave a better impression. These stamp really well. So here's our sand. Super easy. Is that not easy? Super, super easy. And then Balmy Blue. I thought about Pool Party. Pool Party is also another good blue. And for this one, I just took this little chunk here. Ink this up. And then see, I'm gonna go line to line. And they can just overlap because the sky can overlap. And then this is the one where I really needed this to make sure I got all in the middle of this, because it's a big stamp to get all that. It doesn't really matter if you get in the middle because your houses are going to cover it up a little bit. So there's our sky. Is that not easy? So when you see just blotches in that stamp set, don't think you can't use it, but you can turn it over. And now look, now you have some mountain backgrounds. You could take the trees, the tree dies that are in the other one, and put those here. And you have water and mountains in the back. So it kind of just goes on the orientation. Then these, you can see we've gone from photopolymer to red rubber. These two are out of the On the Horizons stamp set that kind of coordinate with it. So I just pulled out the Thinking of You, partly because our poor Australian demonstrators, they are, if you think we have shipping issues here in the US, then try waiting to get the stuff that we have in the US, getting it to them in Australia. They don't even have hardly any of their celebration stuff yet because it's just taking so long to get there. Because we have to, you know, the stuff that's slow to get here then has to get there. And I'm just gonna add the birds. And this just adds a little bit more. Super fun and so easy. So if you don't want to make the houses, because I admit that's a niche if you've not been there. But I know there are other places in the world that have them. But you can take the sailboat. You could put the sailboat. You need to move the birds up a little bit. Put the sailboat there. You can take any of the other dies. There's the trees. There's the fence. There's a bunch of other dies that come. So don't feel like you have to just use those. So let's do our houses now. To get your houses. And when I first started, I did like 5 strips of these, and I was going to do a long one and color all the houses. They're a bit like, if I was going to re-scrapbook, if we go back to Australia and I take those and I was scrapbooking a page, then I might do it. But for just this little card, one little strip of them is enough. So we have this, and then I'm just going to take this one that appears to be water, even though it is actually bark. But it's all in your eyes, right? So when you have this on brown paper and you've got leaves and stuff, then it's very obviously bark. And I have black ink on my hands with this white paper. But because we're looking at water, then when you see the ripples, it looks like water. So even though it's called bark, I think because I put it on the water card, people were just assuming we had some kind of a water one in there. And there's a lot of these come in colors that we have. Where's the one that I used? I used this one right here. And I most certainly did not do any of that great detail. But what I did find, a couple of hints when you're going to color something this little, because remember, our blends bleed, right? So take your brush tip, and I'm just going to go in the order that these are. So take your brush tip first and just color the whole thing with a light coat. So we'll do this one here. And then these are close enough colors. I most certainly don't care if they're exactly the same. It's just giving me an idea of how to color them. So color that one. And then this one. I would love to do that one. And in my head, when I first did this card, you know how you do a card in your head? You're like, I'll do that one. And then once you do it, you're like, yeah, there's no way I'm doing that one. And then for my sand, we don't have a sand blend. So I just used crumb cake and just did a quick little brush of that over this. Now you can go back and add the second coat. So on this one, it has kind of like a pale papaya door. Again, I'm not going to add the emu and the other birds that are on there because that's too much. But you can do just a quick strip of color on the roof. And then just a quick door. And then this is where it can start to bleed, because you know, once our color, the blends have color, it goes. So just do it quick. And then just a quick strip here. So it's just giving kind of a highlight of color. And then on this one here, I did the light petal pink, and then I have the light freesia. Again, just give it the roof a little bit of color, and then give it a door. The first time I did it, they didn't have doors, because I'm like, they don't need doors, but they do. Otherwise, they just look like colored tombstones. And then this one kind of has a line up here just to make them kind of look different, as they do. It's the people that own them that paint them. Do any of you own these? I know some Australians watch my channel. It was always my dream, if we lived there, to own one of these things. And then we'll do the iconic green and yellow and gold, or green and gold for Australia. And we don't really have this color green. We really, if I kept all my blends and I had the clover, that's kind of what that is, but I don't have that. So their flag is red, white, and blue, but Australia colors are green and gold. And anytime you go over another color, so this is, I already did it once with the daffodil, but now that I go over the same color again with the blend, you just get a darker version of it. And then just give it its stripes. And then I kind of left it like that. I don't have a finished card on this because I messed with it so much that I was like, stop. In my head now I know what it needs to be. But it needed a tiny bit of black. So then I used both the bullet tip of my black blend, and that was too big. And then I used the, here, you can kind of see they look inspired by. Then I used the Stampin' Right marker, again, too big. So I am a huge, my friends will laugh, because I am a huge flare marker person. Like, if you get cards from me, often they will be signed in a flare pen, because I just, it must be the 70s girl in me from when I was like in 5th grade. I love a flare pen. But they have a nice, really fine tip, and if you just barely brush, because I didn't want to outline anything, but it needs to hold its own against the black that's on the card. So just take your something with a fine tip. I have some of these left, but I think part of the reason we stopped carrying these is because they dry up quickly. That's the old Stampin' Right pen. So literally just draw a quick flick. And you're not tracing it, you're just adding like a highlight of black. And not even on the whole thing. But just kind of out like the doors. And then if you want to add just a couple of places on the roofs, just to kind of give it a highlight. Just like that. Then when you put it on here, it doesn't get lost. So let's take this. Where did I put my baby dimensionals. So add one baby dimensional to each back. The other reason, and you'll see it again if you watch the next video that posts, is for my stamp club, or for my card club, I always show you their first project. So that video has posted. And then I always take the supplies in case they don't like the stamp of the month, or they feel like they already have something similar and they don't buy it. Then I show them an alternative. So I'm going to film that next. But I got out stamp after stamp after stamp, and I was like, oh, I could use this as the alternative. I could use this as the alternative. I could use this, because we're using the Heart and Home paper for Card Club this month. So obviously the go-to is the Heart and Home stamp set, right? And there's 2 of them, but so I didn't want to do that because that's just too obvious. But there were so many options. This is just our cord. I was going to use some of the ribbon that comes in this January to June catalog, but there wasn't anything that I was super excited about that matched it quite as well as the cord. You know, there's just something about the cord and water cards that kind of goes together. So I'm just gonna, and I don't want it to be a bow. That way, if you wanted to send it to a guy, you could. So I'm just going to wrap it around here a few times and then go back into where that is. Cut that off. And I'm going to put it this way. You can really do it either way. Put that there. Put this here. And look, I got that little bit of black that's on my hand on my white card. But it's okay. I'm gonna take that off. I'm not gonna press super hard. I'm gonna take it off. I'm just gonna trim that down a little bit. It's right there on my hand. I should have washed it off when I realized it. But super easy. And so there's a die set and two coordinating stamp sets, but the one that is the bundle. So there you go. So if you keep watching, because I'll keep mix and matching these, but the online class details have posted, and my card club video will post later on this weekend. So everybody have a great day. If you are interested in any of my online things, if you need a copy of the catalog, any of that, go to my website and it pops up to join my email list, and then that way you're able to contact me. Everybody have a great weekend. Bye.